hired her.
Mm-hmm.
Now in those days they didn't hire women.
Hmm.
So she was lucky,
Mm.
and they were partners, they were very nice men,
Mm.
and they did very special work. And in a way it was secret.
Hmm.
They built little tiny parts that you put in bombers.
Hmm.
And they had to be absolutely accurate.
Hmm. That was
Absolutely.
part of the war effort. Wow.
Well, and what this tool was, a tool to make a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's called broaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would make the parts, and then they were wrapped in very fine oil, very, very fine oil, wrapped up in some kind of tissue. This is what I got from my mother. I never was allowed to go there and see it. And they only had a few employees, but the stuff was sent all over the world.
Hmm. Wow.
So that's where she worked. And she worked there until they were building an addition with cement, and this very fine oil permeated the air.
Mm.
And so the cement dust and the oil mingled, and she breathed it in.
Mm-hmm.
And she was perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden she wheezed. Ee, ooh, ee. Terrible. We thought she was goner.
Hmm.
Went to an allergist, and he had a different name
Mm.
than an allergy specialist, whatever they call. And right away they had to clear her lungs out.
Hmm.
And then she went on medication for the rest of her life.
So when did she stop working? Because I thought she worked later than that.
Hmm?
When did she stop working?
About 62.
Oh, so that was, okay, I thought she worked later than that.
No.
Oh, okay.
And then I made the arrangements, I said, your mother was here, wasn't making any salary. And I knew that bothered her.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, Mother, let me call you my housekeeper. Because you do the shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I still do the outdoor work because she wasn't supposed to get near outdoor stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But she did. Knowing, if you can remember, she was very strong-minded.
Mm-hmm.
And so I paid her as my housekeeper.
Oh. Wow.
Well, I used to be her housekeeper in the summer when I had school off and she was working in the hot summer.
Mm-hmm.
No air conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
those places. And she come home just wringing wet, hot,
Mm-hmm.
oily. And so I used to make supper, do all the work, and she didn't have to do any work. Just during the summer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why we got along, although we would fight every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Good housemates, it sounds like.
Well, your dad, he never really lived in even Snowden. I didn't really live in Snowden. Snowden I would never considered a home.
Mm-hmm.
It was a place you lived in.
Mm-hmm.
Because he went in the Navy, or Coast Guard,
Mm-hmm.
then to college, and then married.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So before you moved here, you lived in Snowden or you lived someplace else?
and Snowden.
You did, okay, so you did live there for a while?
Yeah.
Okay,
He lived only when he
did,
finished
but you
off
did.
high school.
okay.
I think the last year of high school or something.
Mhm.
Maybe 2 years, I don't know, I can't
So
remember.
how long did you and Grandma live at Snowden?
About 3 years, 3 or 4 years, I would, maybe. We lived just during the war, because we had to have a victory garden.
Mm.
I was reading about that the other day. And I thought, oh yeah,
Mhm.
victory garden. How we all were so happy to have a garden, and we all worked to make it. On top of working it.
But there's a gap there, because if you were living there during World War II, where were you living in the 50s? You must have been living there.
We lived there during the war years at Snowden.
I know, but from the war years, the war ended in 45. What did you do between 45 and 60? Oh, that's right. You moved here at 50,
Yeah,
53. Okay, I got it.
yeah.
Okay, so you lived there until 53. All right.
It's March the 3rd, I think it is, March the 3rd, 1953, that we moved in here, in a
Mhm.
blizzard.
Mhm.
No road, no cap on the porch,
Mhm.
no garage,
Mhm.
no pathway, no driveway. The car had to be parked in the street in the mud. No lawns, no trees. Kind of in the middle of a clay mound.
Mhm.
But we got the house for 14,000,
Wow.
brand new.
Mhm.
First thing we'd ever had brand new in years.
Mhm.
Because
That seems high. That seems, I thought they were less money than 14,000. Wow.
I earned,
Because I thought that the North Kane,
this was just after the war,
yeah,
and they were building houses,
yeah,
and this was kind of far out. It wasn't so far out because Royal Oak was on the other side.
yeah.
But there were not many Royal Oak houses over here
Mhm.
because that was a new sector.
Right.
It was Southfield Township School District.
Mhm.
It was not Birmingham, it wasn't Royal Oak, it was Southfield Township, and this was all township.
So my parents bought a house on North Kane about the same time.
Yes, they bought it after we bought ours, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
Now
but I
you're-
thought it was only like about $3,000 or $4,000, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, yours was a bit more, I think.
No.
Your
okay.
dad found it when he was working for the city of Detroit. He used to find a lot of things
Mhm.
because he drove around all the time, being in forestry. And so he was driving around and he saw this subdivision this is what I recall, curved off of there. It was
Mhm.
all very nice, new, it was little tiny homes like this. Yours was something like this, but smaller.
Mhm.
And he found it there, and he watched them building the other ones.
Mhm.
He always watched what they built.
Mhm.
And I guess that was in his blood from being a bricklayer thing. Anyway, he saw the other ones going up, so he was able to buy the one you had on was the cane, and he watched it
Mhm.
being built like
Mhm.
the same as he did in Warren.
Mhm.
He found that house when he was driving around,
Mhm.
doing other things, and he said, "Ooh, this is kind of a nice street and everything."
Mhm.
And it had a 2-story home, reasonably priced.
Mhm.
And the thing that was nice about that was, you could finish it
Mhm.
on the inside. So he saved money. I don't know whether you remember, you pitched in and helped.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't remember this.
You sandpapered the walls, the
Mhm.
woodwork,
Mhm.
We helped paint. We all were pitching in there.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
And you saved quite a bit of money, a
Mhm.
couple $1,000s. Well, it doesn't sound much now, but that was a lot of money in those days.
Mhm.
And it was a really well-built house.
Mhm.
And then, of course, he built a addition on the back.
Mhm.
On a mountain. Your mother and dad both did a lot of work in there, and they made it a lovely home. Really
Yeah.
did.